Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I'm here to give a little input on, well, maybe the chaos that you may feel that the world has at this moment. Uh, well, it's my analysis, right? It's what I have, what downloads I get. It's what I feel like everything on my channel is leading up to this somehow. If you are a returning viewer here, you have followed me for a while, you may recognize some of what I'm going to say. If you're new, then just bear with me. I will give a sense of an analysis, right? Everything I do on my channel has to do with evolution. It has to do with personal growth, you could say. Even spiritual growth. It has to do with changing thought patterns and programming and things like that. What I have recently discovered for myself and is that it's like, well, this is not new. I think people know this, right? It's like we live in this ego world, right? We live in a world of egos. Everything here is about the ego. It's about a self-realization. We are not the same, right? We don't have the same expression. We can have different hairstyle. We look different also. Like our only twins have a somehow similar touch to them, or even appearance, right? Otherwise, we all have our own individual expression, right? We have our own face, our own fingerprint. We have our own DNA. We are in that way separate from each other. It's an ego thing. It's everything here in this world has to do with self, like it's a self place. It has to do with a separate identity that is only you, right? Though we are similar, we belong to the same species, we have an expression that is unique, right? This world is about being unique, having a unique imprint, creating a unique self-expression. It's about building something that is uniquely you, like uniquely from your life force, uniquely expressed, as opposed to being just part of a group. If you're part of a group, you're not special, right? You are just one out of many. This world is about the specialness, the uniqueness, how we are able to show that, to build that, to be that. That is what this world is about. That's the vibration of this place we're in. And then you could say, how are we doing in this place then? Like, some are doing tremendously well. They built empires, right? They are big leaders. They like the hierarchy thing. They like the competition. It's all about the winning, being strong, and then there are other people here that are really struggling with this. Like they don't have seemingly the power to self-realize. Like the only thing that is self is that you have your own body. Like you have your own body and face. And then there are some where you have your own body and face and more and more and more and more and more, right? That is you. I feel like the universal realm is not like that. The universal realm is about conjoined energies. It's a place where you could say there is no special. Like there is no, it's not about special. Like the special is a bit like what we see in a smaller scale here on Earth represented. It's like a newborn. Like the newborn is special, right? It's a new, special, unique little child. This uniqueness, like everything here favors uniqueness, specialness. Inside, we all call, like we long to be special and unique. We want to stand out as something. Deep down, this is what we long for. We long to have this separate, raw flame of ours. That our flame is not supposed to be conjoined with a lot of other, because when it is that, uniqueness disappears. Then it's just one out of many. So to be special, you could say, like to even end up or incarnate here, there is an inbuilt desire to self-realize, like to have that experience of what that feels like. So as a soul, that's why we're here. We try to build this self, to stand out, to speak our mind, to what we believe in. And others must somehow just know that, right? They have to listen or to like get along with that. This world is about getting along with all these special, like we all somehow want to be special, right? The problem is that the specialness is what we feel like when we are in an omnipotent state in the womb. The omnipotent state in the womb allows us to be in a utter potent self-state. We are so self-absorbed in that space that we don't even have an idea that there is a womb. We have no idea that something is actually keeping us there. It's only when we get out, like when we are born, we feel the trembling of on the birth process. Before birth, we are still swimming around in there in our own little all-inclusive pool. One-room apartment with everything. We have no awareness that there is much outside of ourselves. We don't have to. Right? And we don't really care actually when we are in there. It's a self-absorbed place or existence. It's only when we are birthed and we get out, that is like a tower moment. It's like something crushes our own little self-absorbed world. And we are born, we come out, and suddenly it's not warm and cozy and nice. And the navel cord is cut. There's no longer like all-inclusive food like supply, right? It's cold out there. There are no boundaries that hold us. We don't have a container, so to speak. We don't have something that just keeps our little omnipotent world intact. it's gone, right? It's gone. We grow up, we forget about this. It's like a chaos. Something chaotic happens inside us. We are realizing we are now in this new existence, and we suddenly become extremely aware of this other that we are now part of. We feel the cold, right? We haven't felt it before. Like we feel people touching us. We haven't felt that before. Not really. We feel a pace and a tone and sound and everything. We even have to use our lungs now to breathe. Even to get food, we have to learn to suck the breast. We have to do something actively. We cannot just be there in this omnipotent state where we flow around in our own little flowy world, right? Protected by like the warm water and the mother body, right? We don't have that anymore. Something chaotic happens to our brain when we are born. This is my personal belief. This is traumatic. It's a shock. So when we get out, everybody is celebrating that we get out there. We are finally here. You are now in the ego world, little child. And you are unique, right? You come directly from source, from the omnipotent state. You come from that state into our arms, and we can see you. You still glow with some of this. At the same time, the diminish is occurring. At the same time, something is happening. We cover, we hold the child, we try to keep it warm, we feed it, we nurse it, right? So we are prolonging or trying to make the difference between the womb and the entrance into this world a little more acceptable, or a little more you could say, for the little child, we give it a bridge, so to speak. The bridge between the former very omnipotent state towards a state of not omnipotency. It's actually a state of a more, you could say, a more evolved state. And a state where you are now aware of another. You become aware, very deeply embedded, aware of the mother. Because without the mother, you'll die, right? Like the child becomes, from not even knowing she exists, to becoming extremely aware of her, and very attuned and very attached to her. This is like primary survival instincts. This happens and changes everything for the child. And I believe that on a bigger scale, this is what is happening right now in the world. I said that the mother energy, I have said that before in some of my videos, the mother energy is leaving the planet. It's like the full embrace of mother is leaving. Like we are going through an evolutionary state where, like, we have, for a long time, we have realized that we want the womb back, but we can't have it. So in our desperate attempt to have it back, we are trying to build one. Like we are building, the society is just like an artificial, you would say, expression of trying to build like a womb. It's artificial and we know it's not real, but it's the best thing we can do in our desperation, right? We're trying to recreate the previous womb, which was perfect for omnipotence. So what we are trying to do is like we are trying to recreate some kind of life that is perfect for omnipotence, self-realization, self-absorbedness. But to have a bit of this self-absorbedness, we have to not at all be it at some times, to have bits of it and moments of it at other times. That is our state at the moment, or has been for a long time. This is, I guess, you could say, similar to when a child is a little bit older, right? And the mom is not holding it all the time. Sometimes it is alone for a bit. What we are feeling, I guess what's going on in the world right now is separation anxiety. We are feeling that something is happening that has vital influence to our primary survival. And this is, of course, will be differently felt in your life. Self-expression, like the self-expression, the separateness, the cutting of the navel cord makes you separate to something. And we have realized that. Now we have wanted to come back. A part of us wants this security. We go to work every day for this. Like we want a stable support, like income. We want a stableness of food supply, and we want shelter and home. We want all of this. So we are desperately trying to build it, to create it. We have to use energy on trying to get this state back. Because when we have it back, we can relax, right? We can relax and be who we are. But we have realized that we can't get it fully. We are trying to, like the more advanced our society becomes, the more AI we have, if we can control it still, the more AI, the more advanced, we are building a supporter in some way, an artificial supporter. The more AI we get into our homes, the more AI we have in, like in the world around us, cars that can drive on their own. If I have a car where I can drive on my own, I could sit there with virtual reality glasses on and just be absorbed in my own little world. I don't have to look at traffic. I don't have to engage with all the other egos out there, right? I don't have to engage with all this unpredictable behavior. I can reinforce the self-existence still, my omnipotence. And that is what we are fighting for here, or have been fighting for a very, very long time. Society is always driven by this omnipotence, like this, or the grandiosity of something. Some succeed, they become these, like Caesar, they become Zeus, right? They become the president of the United States. They get the spotlight, they stand there. That is like the ultimate goal for being here. That is that kind of self-realization, the potency, the following, the adoring, right? That is like the ultimate state for souls when we are here. Even so, even people who are here who feel like they're very selfless, it's just a reversed version. Like the feeling of potency, the feeling of success comes through a different mean. When we are afraid, like when we are afraid to lose the navel cord, like a child that moves out of home and must do on their own. You know, some are like they look forward to this, right? They want to leave home. They want to get out there. They want to, you know, they can't wait to build on their own. They can't wait to get their own family. They can't wait to be on their own. And they can't wait to be on their own. They can't wait to establish themselves. And then there are others who feel very frightened about this, like this is too much, it's so big of a world, right? So and everybody is on their own here, right? Everybody is on their own, so on their own mission for self-realization. And I don't know if I can do this. I don't feel that confident, perhaps. So some are pushed out there, you know, like the parents say, you are 18 now, you're moving out, even though the 18-year-old doesn't feel ready, you know. They can be pushed out. Some choose to leave, and some are pushed out. This is exactly what I think humanity is experiencing at the moment. That is the chaos we have. We have a lot of self-expression. There's a lot of this going on. People they want to be proud to present themselves. They want to show themselves. They want to prove themselves. They want to speak their mind and choose their gender and choose their sexuality. And we have still the old-fashioned ones, like the patriarchs that want to have control, that seek the hierarchy, that wants, you know, like to be able to be a mastermind that can manipulate the masses. And so we still have this also. But what I think is going on, and this is not just, you could say, the poorest scale of humanity, it's felt all around that something is changing. It's like when a mother has nurtured her child from the heart space, eventually she gets to a point where when a child becomes ambitious and wants to go out in the world and prove themselves, the heart doesn't really apply anymore. It's like she needs to now speak to their mind. She needs to now speak to their ego. Like if she's not feeding into the ego of the child just turns around and walks away from her. Sees her as a bad mom or a bad dad, right? Wants to do on their own. She can no longer feed in, like she cannot have contact with her child when it starts leaving, like when it starts building its ego like this self-realization project, there's no longer a heart. The door is not open. And this is where I feel like the mother energy has gotten stuck, like she has tried to use the same channel for contact, but it's not possible. She has to mature, like she is maturing, changing her ways. And we feel this. Like what I said is like the mother energy, this all-embracing, compassionate, empathic mother kind of energy is changing its ways. And we can feel that. It feels like now she becomes unsupportive, like we are in danger somehow. We're not in danger. Like I feel we're not in danger. We just have to realize that we have to do some work ourselves. That she is changing her ways now. She's going to talk to us in a different way. She's going to not be as... It's a bit like the womb disappears, right? Like the feeling that Earth is no longer as safe, or the supply that we get from Earth is changing. I think it's going to change. That we rely a lot on Earth, right? All our food comes from the planet, from animal, from plant, vegetation. I think I will expect us to have less. Because it's like when we are born here, what the mother may not be aware of when she's giving birth is that she's giving birth to a little self person. She's giving birth to a self that wants to go out there on their own. They're trying to go out there on their own. This world is perfectly like created for this. As I said, we even have our own body look, like we have our own face, right? We have our own DNA, our own fingerprint. It comes with the birth. We are given a unique life, a special, unique imprint or expression, a raw state. And what are you going to do with it, right? This is the playground for it. This is how you can try it. But you see what happens? It's like a little child that runs away from home, you know? When the little child runs away, there can be differences. Like, is it because it's threatened where it is? Or is it because it has this potency in it that it doesn't want to be limited by mom and dad's restrictions, right? It wants to be free. So we think we are going to be free here. The point is, though, that this freedom comes with mortality. It comes with the knowledge of mortality, a knowledge we did not have when we were in the womb. So we get born, and yes, you get a self, but you lose the immortality feeling. So yes, you get something, but something is also taken, like the mother and father home. When you run away, it's not there anymore, right? The safety and the supply, the food, the belonging, everything, it's not there anymore. Everybody who leaves a base knows about this. Like moving out of home, there's this feeling of like I'm kind of alone now, right? Or you know, you leave a sect, or you leave a strong religion. When you leave, you are aware that you are alone now. And leaving can come with a sense of betrayal. It's like you're leaving the God, you know? You're leaving the God. You're leaving this religion, or this place, this womb, to have your own expression, right? To do on your own, to be your own God. To be your own I. The me, the I, your own name, your own identity, your own beliefs even. Like leaving means that you are seeking own something that is uniquely you. To live that, to have that. And then it's like, yes, you get that, but you lose the support, right? You lose the navel cord. You lose the support from something. So yes, you go out there and be your own, but then you kind of lose, or you cut. Like again, either you feel you have lost it, or you feel like you cut it yourself because you wanted to go out there, right? And I think there's a difference in the feeling inside, whether you feel like you chose this yourself or you were forced to, right? You were, you know, your mom and dad packed your bags, put them outside the door, set you outside the door and slammed it. You're on your own now, right? This feeling, you're on your own now, the door is slammed. This is what I feel like is going on right now in the world. That we have the feeling that there is a sense of some kind of support or food chain, or some kind of that is leaving. It's saying it stops feeding into what you're doing right now, because what we are doing outside the womb is that we are trying to build an artificial womb to then be in. That somehow sustains us. But we have to work for it, right? We have to work to get the glimpses of the omnipotence. So it's not quite the same. It's a desperate attempt to keep it up, right? To get it back. To get it back. So it's like we're these little children that get born into this, but the moment we get here, we actually want to get back. But we can't go back, right? It's like there is no way, there's no exit door. We cannot get out and come back to it, you know? Now we're in this mess. And we are trying to fix it. I have wondered why there is this seemingly consensus about society, why it is that so many people are actually complying with it somehow. We learn to comply, but it's also because there is no other way, right? There is no other way to get it back. And I think that it's one of the reasons why there is this love-hate relationship with feminine bodies and mothers. And like there's this, because on one hand, she provided us with this omnipotent feeling, but she also took it away, right? Or we took it away by being birthed in here. Like that, there's this, in the Bible, there's this saying that when we were in Eden, when Adam and Eve was in Eden, it's like the womb, right? We were told we couldn't eat the tree from the apple from the tree, and it was the tree of knowledge. Because when we eat it, we will become aware of good and bad, and we will die. It says we will be thrown out of the garden. That's what it talks about. We're thrown out of the garden. Like when we are born, we are thrown. When we are born, we get out of the garden. And we learn now that there's something that feels good, and there's something that feels bad to us. So when we are in this world, yes, we get to try to self-realize what we will now learn about good and bad, or what feels like good and bad to us. And we lose the immortality, so we lose the navel cord. We lose the eternal supply, the feeling of like eternal flowing and safety and everything. It's like something deeply embedded in us. We have all gone through moments of this separation anxiety when we were very young. It's something that happens from between 5 and 12, 15 months old. We have long forgotten we don't remember it. We don't remember our omnipotent state exactly. We mostly remember the other. The one where we became dependent, where we needed to attach. We needed to open ourselves up to receive something from the outside world, which we had never in our evolutionary state as a fetus, we had no idea. The moment we are born, we get the idea. Suddenly everything becomes about another, because this other is supposed to, if it's gone, we will die. We become extremely aware of our own life force and how unprotected it suddenly feels, how vulnerable it is. And this vulnerable state, we don't want that. We want to be in this other state. Before, like we want to get back to before we learned about vulnerability. We don't want the vulnerability. We fear it, right? We want to get back to it. We can't get back to it. So now we are trying to build with some kind of deep embedded or unconscious consensus in the world. We're trying to build this because inside there is a grief. Like we all know that we cannot go back. We're trying to deal with the grief. And what we are feeling right now in the world is another evolutionary step that is happening for us. What happened when we were very young, this is coming again now. This is just on a much bigger scale. It becomes conscious now, as it has become conscious for me. I'm just sharing this with you. So it's a trauma. One of a very big and one of the earliest traumas that most of us have not dealt with because it becomes an unconscious thing. We become stuck in the survival orientation, like suddenly we cannot focus only on self, we have to focus on other. We call for help, we scream, we cry, the mother comes, right? But if she for some reason is not coming, it creates such a big fear in us, and we will do everything we can to not have that feeling. And we are trying to build this kind of artificial womb around us, housing, heating, food supply stores, food stores, we exchange it with money, right? That we can buy the things that we prefer to have, and there's an enormous amount of like to choose from. Again, because this is the ego world, we want different things. There's an enormous style choice to be made in fashion and so on, personal expression with and without makeup and hairstyle and hair color and whatever. There's an enormous consumerism and offer of this to support this self-realization, because we want to keep it. But now I feel like it's like mom is saying, nah, we are just pushing little Peter a little more, right? Little Peter cannot stay in his room with his Star Wars figures for the rest of his life. He has to get out of his little room, right? He needs to learn more about the outside world, the cosmos. It goes perfectly hand in hand with the age of Aquarius coming in. And because Aquarius is more futuristic, it links a lot with the cosmic realm. It's like we are supposed to not be so concerned about our little life here on Earth. Our little personalized self-orientation life. We are actually supposed to wake up and see a bigger picture of the entire universe. Like when a child is no longer just nursed at home, it gets to kindergarten, right? And kindergarten is like a wake-up call, like what is happening here, right? We're going to see how diverse life is, that you cannot stay in this little potent little world of yours, this little self-absorbed play state. You have to get out of it, though we don't want to, or only few maybe want to. This is what we are called to. It's no longer a choice whether you want to or not. We are being pushed towards it. It's like an evolutionary state, best described as we see in our own children. And we are, of course, earthlings. Like we are we are children of Earth. So we are just reliving, like we are an expression of what Earth is experiencing. I think that Earth itself has been in this more omnipotent state, didn't want to, and we have been the expression of it. Like our state of mind and understanding is the expression of it. There has been openings, like we do have like cosmic awareness. We have astronomers, we have astronauts, we have, there is a path, there is a door, but most of us do not live in that life. Like most of us are not. Like we concern ourselves with our own private little life, right? That is, and how to maintain that. That is our focus. But there is a little bit, it has been here for a long time. Science and you could say space travel and space orientation has been here for a while. This will become more. I think this will become more, and we will become aware of something about food and it's all like you could say the development that we are starting now is to leave physical food behind. Like that is, it's an evolutionary state. Our bodies are supposed or will transform from, or mold itself from a carbon-based body that needs physical food to a more crystalline body that can exist from sunlight, or similar. That our food source is going to be different. Our energy uptake will come from a different source that we are used to. But right now we feel that it's we feel that we're starving, that something is taken from us. The chaos right now, this is fear. It's death fear. Like that is the chaos that is here. The death fear combined with self-expression, like because that's what we are fighting for. We want it to stay, right? And still be fueled by mom and dad, right? That's kind of what we want. But mom and dad is kind of saying, no, you are on your own now. If this is what you want, great. But you go out there then and you figure this out. How are you supposed to do this? If you want to do this, have this self-expression, you will probably feel like that the door is a bit closed to this, right? That it seems like you're not that supported anymore. You're not that. It could even feel a bit like the things that were supposed to give you happiness when you are self-realized, that it no longer does. Like it's like it no longer gives you that satisfaction. It's not the same. It's not perhaps worth it, like people may consider whether it's worth it to attempt this self-realization, that it's hard work. Single women, I think, single mothers, they think this is hard work, right? To try to keep this up. That there's something about this, it's hard work to be here now, right? It's not that. The more and more self-realized you want to be, the more you want to get out of the closet, the more authentic you want to be, the more hard work it feels like it is, right? And for someone who most of my life has been in mother energy, I feel it too. It's like I'm supposed to conduct my life differently. And I can tell you that we're not in danger, right? But we are changing. And it's a dramatic change. And we will see people die here. We will see people suffering here. Because this is a trust. It's a trust. Like we have to trust in ourselves. Like we have to trust in, and this is where I feel like the unitedness comes back in. Like if we want to do this on our own, we have to unite, which we don't want. Actually, like we need to unite more to actually be here. And that's the whole point. Like the whole point is to come here, want to self-express, figure out it doesn't work, unite, and eventually, you could say, find the exit door back to source, right? We are testing our ability to be on our own. And we get to be here many rounds, many lives to try to test this. With different abilities, every time you're born in with a different body. Like you can be born in with like a very sensitive body. You can be born in a feminine body, in a masculine body, and the game rules of this place will determine how successful you may feel when you're here. And we come back again and again and again here, and we are attached to it. We are, because the self, like when we are self-absorbed, it's a highly seductive place to be in. It's narcissistic. It's highly seductive to be that you would say self-absorbed or grandiose. It's very seductive. That's why we want to come back. That's why we want to stay here for a long time. If we are doing well here, it's very seductive. Because it's like this realm allows you to be your own God. How well you do here, I don't know. It's up to you, right? But to figure that out. But you are given the option here. So from a viewpoint of source or God or whatever, a deity, an immortal deity, it's like they look at the children and they say, okay, you can have your own realm then. I'll send you to this realm where you can test this. You can test yourself. You can learn more about who you are. If you don't want to be in this more, you would say, united place where you're not special. Like the united place is not special. You are one out of many matches. They look the same. They have the same expression. Because that's the point. The point is that when you it's like a military army, right? You have the general. The general has his own uniform. Or the king has his crown and his golden wardrobe. And then you have all the soldiers. The soldiers are, like they're dressed the same. They follow the orders and they don't have their own voice. They're not supposed to act independently. Then they become this loose cannon. Like when you are in a submissive state to a leader, you become one out of many soldiers or pawns, right? You become one out of many soldiers. They are all the same to the general. The general or the emperor's job is to make sure that he and everybody here continue and are safe. Like he makes sure that what is happening inside the empire is upholding everything. That's the responsibility of this overall general or God or source. So all the soldiers are given life force. They are secured. In return, they give their obedience. They give their loyalty. That is source. That is God. That is like the Bible would say that that if you believe in God, God is like the overall source, and you are a follower. In return, you are safe, right? In return, God secures you. You become His hands. You become His voice. You become His. That is God's source. And when we do that, when we let go of our self-realization project, and we you could say yes to source. When we say yes to God, when we say yes to source, when we say yes to ultimate universal power, instead of my power, when I say I give that up, I let it be His. I lay my weapon down and I submit myself to this other power in the thought that it will care for me, right? It will care for me. In return, such God or source will provide for you. Make sure you're safe. The womb comes back, right? You return, little Peter returns back home to mom and dad, right? Now the container is back. That is what I believe all people that are devoted to religion, they trust or want to trust. That something bigger is there to hold them, to guide them, to help them move forward, right? To keep them safe. The problem in this world is that when we have leaders that stand on top, that are there for their own gain, primarily, and not really for the masses, they are just exploiting the masses' trust in them. And when this falls and it becomes disastrous, we lose the faith in the leader, right? We lose faith in leadership. We don't want to comply. We don't want to give all of our devotion, like we don't want to lay our weapons down and submit ourselves. We don't want to we don't trust. We don't trust. And I think this is where we're standing right here, right now, in such a feeling of a tower falling, right? And whom to trust right now. Whom am I supposed to trust in? Like, my best advice is, it's not a human. That's the best thing I can say. It's not a human. Because this world is designed for grandiose omnipotent realization. That's what this place is. It's not a human. Like, my best advice, don't put your faith in a human. Don't put your faith in a priest alone. Don't put your faith in a country leader, a president or dictator or don't put your faith in that you put your faith in a God voice. Become very aware of what you want to devote yourself to. Like when people devote themselves in marriage and so on, it's a beautiful thought, but this other is not a God. Like they are mortal like you. I think that whatever we feel right now is a sense of many sensitives and psychics and people in this field. They are very overwhelmed at the moment. They are very like and I think it's because the problem is that we can feel the lack scream. Like we can feel the of the world. Like we can feel the screaming. The fear scream that people have inside when they are faced with a sense of mortality, like when they feel something comes too close now, it's very uncomfortable, and we are kind of forced to a change, and this change we may not want actually. We prefer it to be as it was before. But it's like that's not exactly what's happening. Sometimes love can be tough love, right? Sometimes mom has to push the little baby to, become more capable in the world, able to be here, or to not only concentrate on like a self-life here on earth, but actually open up to the cosmic realm and realize what else is there. That something is actually has kept us here. That something is like fueling us here. Again, I think we will have a bigger awareness about Earth and fertility on Earth and climate, like the climate changes, having a more awareness about the food source, and feeling a lack, feeling that something could potentially die out or we could lose it. What it does is that it's asking us to leave our it's actually asking us to become more responsible. That we can look over our own, like outside of ourselves. Even those who say, yeah, but I look outside of myself all the time. Yeah, but you will look even further now. You will be forced to look even further. Like we are forced to look outside of Earth. We will be forced to look further, right? That something out there is keeping, like the solar system has actually been keeping it, holding it, and we have had no idea. Something has been supporting this existence up till now, and now it's going to support a little different kind of one. and we can feel that something is changing, but and that instantly instaurs a sense of fear in us, or that there's something that we can't see it, right? Typical for feminine energy also is that you can see it. It's that something is in the air somehow. We can feel it, right? That there's something, but we can't like see it that clearly. Like we are just evolving, like it's an evolutionary state. Whether we want it or not, we are kind of forced to, like the Big Bang, I think, when our solar system was created, like this was like a birth. It was like, okay, we create this solar system where there's a possibility for souls to come and experience and play with this self-orientation. But now it's like, okay, now they have done this long enough, right? And they are kind of just like they're stuck there. So now we call them back. Like now we need to help them. We need to get them out of this because they're actually miserable. Most people deep down feel a sense of misery, and it's because this navel cord was cut. Like we lose immortality, and now it's like there is a call back to immortality. We are offered it, but to get it back, we have to go through a change of giving up this self, like a little toddler, right? That insists on its own, like self satisfaction. And mom and dad are saying, no, you can't have this lolly right now. It's like we are called back now. We are called to grow up, in a sense, as souls, as a species. We are called to evolve. I don't think we are in any danger per se. It's just that we're changing. Something is changing and it feels dangerous. Like we have to trust that that for some reason the body knows. Like it's an interesting thing, right? When a child, a normal child, not a handicapped child or otherwise challenged child, but normal children, like it's like their body knows, right? That the body knows that it has to learn how to crawl and eventually walk and eventually run and eventually jump and eventually learn to bike and eventually learn. It's like it knows. So we have to trust that when you feel something, eventually even something happening in your body, like you feel that something is changing in your body, then I want to say it's this is part of the process, that there is something, we just need to trust it. That it's on an evolutionary jump, even though we don't want to go along with it, we should trust it, right? That we have to just calm ourselves down and trust that it knows what it's doing. If you have ever listened to Cryon or Bashar, which are, you could say, helpers, and they are channeled through a human, you will know that they have talked about this many times, that this is not like, this has been done many times before. Like many planets have gone through this. Many much life on other planets have gone through this. So you could say, like, from a universal point of view, this is just like, we are like this playground. We are like children in the sandbox, you know, that are just playing our own little play. And now it's like we are supposed to learn how to make a group play. An intertwined, telepathically, empathically, totally connected unity. So instead of being all ones, we become like one big, like that is universal energy. It's one big everybody is called to the same thing. Not these individual things like we do here. It's united. And Source is you could say, the keeper, the overall emperor or leader, the keeper. But when we are here, we forget about that, right? We want to forget about it. We want to come here and just be us. And we are trying to keep that. We're trying to keep ourselves alive also here for as long as possible. We have created hospitals and everything. That is it. That's how we. That's what we try to protect here. We want to protect our own self-project here. We actually don't want to listen out there. We want to, put the phone down to the universe. We want to just have our own little scene or realm, an isolated realm where this can play out. I find this interesting to think about, because like the people in space science and astronomers and everything, we look out there for life, right? For life that is more or less similar to us. We're looking for something in our image. That's how self-absorbed we are. So we're looking for something preferably in our image, somewhat recognizable, or somewhat recognizable to something we know here from Earth, like an octopus or something. Like there has to be a physical form. There has to be water or something. We're looking for things that we know. That's how self-absorbed we are. We can't think outside of our box. That is not it. We're limited in that way. There is a lot of life out there, but we cannot see it because the only thing that we recognize as life is something somewhat similar to what we know here about ourselves or other species that are here in physical form. So when we look out there, we find nothing, because actually we don't want to find nothing. We don't want it to mesh with us. Somewhat we are afraid of it. We don't want it. Actually, we prefer to be able to stay here the way that we are. It could be fun to say hello to a green Marsman, right? But actually we prefer them to leave again, right? Not mess with our project here. So when we look out there, we will not find anything, not as long as we are in this consciousness state. The self-orientation actually prevents us from realizing other life. The self-preservation state that we want to be in prevents us from maturing, prevents us from evolving, prevents us from being open and tolerant, and because deep down actually we don't want to. Not really. It's a bit exciting, right? A bit exciting, but then no, not really. Of course, I paint a generalized picture here. I'm aware of that. Of course, there will be people out there that are open and that are connected with the spiritual realm, the gurus, and of course there are. But a generalized speaking in society, no. We prefer the little world we have. I call it a little world because it's not open to the cosmic knowledge. It stays in self-absorbed knowledge. Actually, it's a small world. It evolves only around you. And actually, deep down, most people prefer it that way. We can't really deal with aliens, right? If they actually showed up here, we can't really deal with it. It's like we have this barrier. We don't want it to come in. But I think that no matter what is happening, it's like there is a push now. And we feel this push, and it stores this sense of danger or fear in us. And it can be in the body, right? Unless you have dealt with death issues. Have dealt with the concept of mortality and death? Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to come in with this sense of update because it's very present, I feel like. Get flow card, right? This is what we want. We want the ability to flow inside a womb. And our earth is the womb, right? That is the best we know. Actually, we want her to stay unbreached. We don't want things to come in because then we can't stay in this self-flow. This is our orientation. That is the orientation. And what is coming in? What is it that is here? Round breacher, right? It's like something is coming in here, but actually we don't want it, right? We don't want it to come in. We are breaching out of our bubble, or something is breaching in to ours, right? And we don't want it. We feel it as a fear. I don't think we have anything to fear, actually. it's an evolutionary step, like when you move out of home, or it's the same feeling as if, when a parent dies. This feeling that you're suddenly so alone, right? And on your own. You have to manage on your own. You are, and there can be this feeling of fear, right? That's what I feel like we're dealing with. But I want to say, I think that we can relax if we are willing to like surrender this self-orientation project. We if we are willing to give up on the artificial womb, because it's a regression move, right? We build it to regress back into this flow state here. But it's like, from a soul perspective or from source perspective, it's like we're supposed to evolve beyond it so that we can become responsible and be part of the bigger picture, on a soul level, not on an ego level. Like, ego is what we normally use to communicate with each other here. That's ego. But this is a soul thing. And if you have little contact with your soul, you will have no idea what this is. You will not know what this is about. You will feel like there's an invasion. You will feel like something is hurting you. Something is haunting you, or something is you could say it's challenging your ego. It's challenging this upholding of this ego existence. I hope this makes sense. Please comment if you feel like it. But otherwise, this is what I have. And I think we should relax. Follow the flow of it. Some will have a very hard time with this. But actually it's a natural process. And this is also what we expect of our own children, right? To grow up and to take more, united, like we have to build for the masses, like we have not to build only for ourselves. We have to be part of a bigger concept, which society actually is, right? This is just on a bigger scale. Like it's like now we are getting out of our playroom and we are offered an awareness of, you would say, the like society on a universal level, and that we need to mature and be part of it. We cannot stay children forever here. That's what we are called into, I feel like. Whether we want it or not, like children, like we know from our own children. So this is what I have. I hope this helped somehow. Take care of yourself, everybody out there. and try to trust this process. I don't think it's on a soul level, this is not bad. Like it's just an evolutionary state. So breathe and relax and trust your body. You may feel you need, like you may have aches and things going on in your body. You may feel like you change your eating habits. Maybe you need more sleep, you need more, like the body changes, right? It goes through these adaptations to a different dimension, right? It's that's what I feel like this is. I hope this helps somehow. Take care of yourself, everybody out there. Love and light to you. Bye bye.